Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to Nerd Fight!
Step into the ring, it's time to brawl. Nerd Fights, baby, we're geeking for all. Marvel, DC, Trek, and more.
Fire.
Pop culture battles, settle the score. Nerd Fights, let's get loud. Nerd Fights, yeah, for the geeky crowd. Nerd Fights, hey, it's time to throw down. Bring your fandom, it's the hottest showdown. Who's got the takes? Who's got the heat? Mr. Know-It-All and Salty can't be beat.
That means only one thing. It's time to fight.
Beat drops out with the final shot.
Nerd Fights.
Let's fight!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Nerd Fights, Wednesday night Nerd Fights. I am, of course, your host, Mr. Know-It-All. Joining me is the captain of this starship, a salty trekker, also known as one Michael Crawford. How are you, sir?
Great. I still can't figure out, though, why in that intro I'm taller than you and have no hair.
That's right. It's not that you have no hair. It's the picture I was going from. I need to get your ponytail like where it's hanging out or something.
Well, the funny thing is,
try the other one. I don't know.
It's just a purely coincidental, but the way that our cameras are angled, this is actually pretty close to accurate as far as our height difference.
Sure. No, it's real. It's true. Very, very true.
So,
oh my God.
I'm 6'2", and you're like 6'4", right?
Darren already asked. Now, who are those two guys in the octagon? And that was AI, Mr. Know-It-All, and Salty Trek. I was just playing with some stuff in Kling and a couple other.
I'm telling you, you got to figure out a way to have them actually charge into the ring and fight.
That would be awesome. That would be totally awesome. Probably, I think we have to have better, we have to figure out how to pose ourselves, because the problem with the one I'm using, and I know there's 3 or 4 other ones, is that the one I'm using, which is Kling, that's the primary one I use, it takes its cues from what we did. So for instance, you actually sent me a picture, it was just your upper bust part with no arms. I then went into Photoshop and said, well, give me a body, and I extended it. And so it gave me some dude with his hands in his pockets, but you could clearly see everything. So I was like, all right, cool, this will work. I didn't realize when I used it, it was going to be Mr. Nonchalant with his hands in his pocket in the ring. And I was like,
yeah.
Whatever works, man. So yeah.
Well, the hands in the pocket thing I can get past. It's just weird that I'm taller than you and have no hair.
It is very strange.
Yeah.
Welcome to of course, Nerd Fights. This is the show. We're going to go ahead and talk about some different things. We have some topics that have come down this week. So, for instance, there is the new Fantastic Four trailer we want to talk about. Yes. Also, most recently, Spider-Man, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, we'll touch on a little bit. I myself actually didn't have time to catch the last 3 episodes, so I'm now behind, which I will do tonight.
Which makes me really mad, because after my live stream that I did on the other channel, I immediately started, because I had 3 episodes to watch between that live stream and this one, and I finished 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, totally.
And so, but no, you didn't bother to watch them, so we can't even talk about them properly.
No, for real. So that's so funny. God almighty, what am I going to do with you, bro? So, here we go. Hey, what's up, Robert Rose Jr., and of course, Stanley. Good to see you as well, sir. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about some of the new trailers that have dropped, as well as the shows. And then also, we have a real, genuine nerd fight this week. So the big talk around everything going on is Fantastic Four, Superman, which is going to do better, which trailer was better, which this everyone wants.
Or depending on who you listen to, which one is going to bomb the least.
Yeah, totally. No, for
they're both going to be complete bombs,
according to everybody who hasn't seen anything.
Yes.
And so what we decided to do was, for fun, we've drawn lines, and we are going to have a argument and a fight to see who would win. This is in no way, shape, or form like a what do they call that? An objective back and forth. This is strictly subjective, and it's just us kind of playing around. We may fudge the numbers a little, but we got to set up some ground rules, and we'll do all that when that time comes. Yeah. And of course, we're always taking questions for you. Is there room for both? And the pet shop gag was straight out of the Pee-wee's Big Adventure. What is he referring to?
He said that before, as far as and I'm trying to think of exactly what happened with the pet shop. Oh, when he was in the pet shop with the firebug or whatever he was called.
Oh, right.
And while I've seen Pee-wee's Big Adventure, I haven't seen it in a very long time. So I'm not
same.
So I'm not sure what happened in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, because I don't remember a pet shop catching on fire in Pee-wee's.
Oh, when he's trying to save all the animals. He's very. I can see it's kind of similar. Yeah. I get it.
So are we going to talk about Spider-Man first then, or do you want to talk about
Do you want to do it? I know the Fantastic Four discussion was pretty big for everybody. I'm down for having either one. Let's.
Well, because you haven't seen the most recent 3 episodes, and
I'm okay. I can't. I am going to watch them because I fully intend to put a review out.
right.
But I have no I am not. Don't tell me spoilers. I don't care. Like, seriously, legit, spoil the heck out of it. It's fine. I will. I'm still going to watch it because I need to get my own thoughts about it.
Well, and I'll say this: as far as the Spider-Man thing, because I know that now the second batch of episodes, did that just drop today? Then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Must have just dropped today. Yeah.
So then I won't give spoilers for those 3 episodes, except for some maybe
Yeah, it's
not going to like major
I got you.
earth-shaking stuff.
Right.
But I will say this: I think that while the first 2 episodes did not particularly impress me, and I know you felt the same way,
Yeah.
the next 3 were better.
Okay, that's fair.
And so were they great? Like, is this a return to the best ever? Like, X-Men back in '97? No, but
we talked jokingly. We talked, and I said, "How much smarter?" So I was so confused. It looks like we're going to talk about Spider-Man first, and we should.
Yeah.
How I was very confused because it originally started as it was supposed to be a sort of a weirdly prequel to and canonical to the Tom Holland Spider-Man, but then obviously that would have been very boring because he literally did nothing at much other than maybe some street toughs. So how do you really build a deep story there?
Plus, when he met Tony Stark in Civil War, he was actually still in his makeshift outfit.
Right.
And I will tell you that he goes through several new costumes in the upcoming episodes.
Very cool.
Because Oscorp is basically trying to do kind of what Stark did in Civil War and giving him an upgrade.
Oh, nice. There you go. Very cool. All right. So there's going to be some of that, obviously.
Yeah.
Very nice.
But yeah, so so I get that why they couldn't, they had to set it in a different universe. Some of the changes they made, I was like scratching my head.
No, and I'm the same way. So then after they're like, all right, well, we have to actually do. It's going to be like MCU adjacent, so it'll have some events that mirror the ones from the MCU. But for instance, we have Oscorp instead of, although he does mention Stark Labs.
And you do actually see Iron Man, not in action. Yeah, not in action, but you see a picture of him, and they mention the Sokovia Accords.
Ah, interesting.
And they also mention Ultron, and so the events of the MCU are duplicated here. Although the one thing they did not explain, and I'm hoping at some point they do, is they make direct reference to the Civil War fight at the airport.
Really?
Yes. And so I'm trying to figure
this world, was there no Spider-Man?
Yeah, so obviously Spider-Man wasn't there. So who did Stark recruit for that fight in this universe?
Interesting.
I would like to know. Yeah. I don't know if we'll ever find out.
No, same, right on. So, okay, so then as you get into the show, you immediately establish who Peter is. We are still living in a Uncle Ben's already gone, even though this is a different adjacent world, so to speak. But that fact is still a fact. We also still have a very younger looking Aunt May, i.e. a la Marissa Tomei.
It's clearly the 616 with a few tweaks.
Very, very. And so several things for me immediately, and I mentioned this in my review, so it's nothing like I'm not spoiling anything. I wasn't a big fan of the art style. During the credits, they show like character concept art, and we were given actual like production art at like Comic Cons and stuff for visuals. Mm-hmm. That stuff looked great. It had a very Steve Ditko feel. It felt like they were really trying to bring that style of character to life. This, you said it best. What did you say? It was like this looks
like an amateur on YouTube created this in Blender.
Yeah, absolutely.
Using the Blender Toon Shader.
Now that's we're talking stylistically. This has nothing to do with the story because I'll be honest, the story is actually kind of interesting,
and the story gets better in the next 3
in the background. Oh, nice. They did, for everyone's edification, who wants to know, who can care. They have both gender swapped and race swapped many characters. I'm funny. I find myself going, Peter, you're kind of all by yourself. I don't know I feel like half of me feels like Miles Morales might be more appropriately cast in this.
Really, yeah, this feels more like it would be the Ultimate Universe with Miles Morales or
But
something.
then they often give. So then Peter, one of the first things he does is he saves Harry from some bullies who are literally just like your average kid bullies. And I'm sitting here going, this is so based, and by based I don't mean good, but I mean like this is so like bleh, like really. I felt like it was so much more fun in the Tom Holland stuff. Flash Thompson is also a genius who just makes fun of him academically, like
Right. But in this, so far, we've not met Flash Thompson.
No, but I just mean like, but we still have like old school bullying as a contrivance, and it just feels awkward in our culture today. I don't know. I feel like you'd get bullied online before a person would push you around or something. I don't know.
However, well, there's more. Okay, so again, trying to stay spoiler adjacent, but in the next 3 episodes, we find out that a big part of the storyline is going to revolve around basically New York City street gangs, and so.
Well, that makes sense, especially if we're eventually going to get Daredevil, because I know that, and I don't know if he's in the last 3. I just know that was something that was promoted.
No, we did not. We have not seen Daredevil as of yet.
Okay, I know Matt Murdock and Daredevil are supposed to make an appearance.
Right. The only other heroes we've seen are Captain America, Giant Man. We actually see.
Really?
This is all in like picture form. Like you see, Norman Osborn's looking on the computer and showing images. Of images from like the airport fight. So you actually see Giant Man restraining War Machine like he does in the fight. And so
what the heck, man?
Yeah, so I really want to know who the Spider-Man stand-in is in that fight.
Hey, Penny.
And when we see a picture of Iron Man and Cap, we know, and they talk about the Avengers a significant amount. They also talk about like Norman. Similar to who was it that said it in one of the MCU movies? But Norman makes a snide remark about how basically Stark was dropping a city on Sokovia and causing.
Oh, copy. Okay, so we see we're kind of got it.
And so with all this, so there. I don't understand the race and gender swapping either, because honestly, since it feels so much like they're just duping the MC, like basically, if anytime we go to any of the other universes in the Marvel multiverse, it's as if we're stepping into an episode of What If, right? And so in this particular case, it would be what if Norman Osborn was Peter's mentor instead of Tony Stark.
And he was black.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing: since we have,
I have the hardest time with that because for a culture and a world that's trying to sit here and argue that woke is a thing, which I don't agree with, obviously, and clearly many others don't right now. I feel like making the black guy the villain feels a little on the nose. Not to mention the fact that I feel like you take something away from the character, because part of Norman Osborn's draw has always been his gilded silver spoon life. He's like the evil Bruce Wayne. He had money and wanted to figure out how to manipulate people and how to control genetics with people and technology and all this stuff. And it's like those things don't. I feel like that jacket doesn't wear well on a race bent character, similar to how I don't necessarily know Batman would be served well being a black character. I don't necessarily. I think you kind of lose some of the raison d'etre of the character itself.
Right. But here's where I'll, in defense of the show, playing devil's advocate here. While I kind of agree with what you're saying, however, even at the end of the 5th episode of the season, it is absolutely, there's no indication that Norman is evil per se. He does know more than he's letting on, but everything he's doing does seem to be genuinely trying to help Spider-Man.
Stan points out, but at least they had a white gang attacking a black kid at the start. I mean,
at the
very least, thank you.
There is a very black gang coming up.
Something stayed on script. I mean, geez.
There's definitely a very black gang. There's like the blackest black gang that's ever black ganged ever.
Were they Wakandans?
They were not Wakandans, but they're
Okay,
but the one girl at Oscorp is Wakandan.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. So, but no, the leader of the black gang is like he's something like Big Don or something, and the guy is literally like he's huge, and he's got this big beard, and he's just like, hey, how you doing? I mean, it's
Phoenix Gundam says also the show's a retro style, so Norman being black wouldn't be the best outcome in a 90s scenario, in a 60s scenario.
But okay, so going back to my devil's advocate thing, I don't call it a race swap or a gender swap when we're talking about Norman, Harry, or Dr. Connors, because none of them have appeared in the MCU.
That's fair.
Okay.
So
we don't know what Norman looks like in the actual 616.
You know, have you ever? Okay, ready? I'm ready for random ADD question. My Adderall's long worn off for the day, so you're getting me at my all over the roadiest.
You want some? I can.
That's funny. Well, I'm gonna get us demonetized for drugs. But why in it? Okay, if we're talking about the scenario that you've just outlined, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why are what's the end result? What's the goal? Why do it?
Why make them black?
Yeah, what's to what end? Other than just to if it's not virtue signaling, and frankly, I don't know that it adds anything to the character. Because I feel like the only reason to do something along those lines, other than intelligently, the correct answer should be, well, no, I get to write a more interesting character. Okay, fine. I could almost go there. But most of the time, it virtue signals like they're looking for excuses to have well, when I grew up poor and had to work myself into becoming a CEO, you're going to that trope. And I don't know that I like that trope. I feel like, and then the other side of the argument would be, well, why not? Can't he just be a rich, affluent, blah, blah, blah? Because he's about to become a bad guy before long. And I feel like that's the trajectory of just because we're seeing all of them in their what do you call it, embryonic state of origin story doesn't mean that's not the eventual end result. And when it happens, I feel like it's going to be weird.
I see that, and I hope Darren can help me with this because I will admit my lore on Norman Osborn is not what it should be because I'm not a huge expert on the Spider-Man stuff. But my understanding is that Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn are really supposed to be a tragic tale that Peter really cares about Norman Osborn. But Norman Osborn goes insane, which is why he becomes the Green Goblin. He's not evil. But he literally goes nuts, and so the Goblin formula. I know in the Spider-Man movie, I mean, you cast Willem Dafoe. I mean, come on, Willem Dafoe, I'm convinced is evil, just because he looks like Willem Dafoe. But that's a joke.
No, I'm listening. I'm so like
I like so serious.
I see memes of Willem Dafoe all week long since the show started, and it's like I'm something of a black man myself, and you're like, bro, stop doing. Willem Dafoe does not need blackface, so let's not.
That is hilarious, though.
Should not be good.
And Darren actually is backing me up on that. So
because he feels like he feels lonely. He feels lonely, like you've neglected him at this point. So he has to be on your side for a little bit. He's hoping you'll bring.
Well, don't worry. It'll probably be like on Sunday, where sooner or later he'll just call me fat and then run away.
No, hey Darren, I love you, brother. You know that. Okay, seriously, but go on.
But no, I'm not making that up. That's exactly what happened on Sunday. But so because of that, I don't like if Norman Osborn is well done as a tragic character, then I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that he happens to be black or anything else. Because he's a character you're supposed to feel bad that he's gone to the dark side, not a character that you're like, oh, of course they cast a black guy as the.
I never got that from Norman. I got it from Harry. I felt like Harry, because Harry develops more of a personality disorder in the comics anyway. Forgive me. And I know this is not the comic books, so I hate to be that guy where it's like, but the comic books. I know this is not the comic books. They tend to make the MCU a lot, and all its pieces and parts a little bit similar, but not. I feel like there's so much uniqueness in the mental health issues, both of Norman and then the relationship of Harry, and then how those two things merge together. There's so much interesting storytelling that adding another component such as race could potentially muddy up the messaging of what is already a very poignant plot point feels misguided. But then again, most creatives lately that we've noticed have been misguided. Star Trek, Star Wars, right. Everybody wants to try to make a thing, and it's like, dude, just make the comic, man. Seriously, just make the comic.
Right. And so, but my whole thing is that, okay, even though I'm not a fan,
this is great. Real quick. Phoenix Gundam says, in fairness, Steve Ditko did think just making Goblin Norman was a stupid idea, thought of by Stan Lee, as though Goblin's identity should always be a mystery. So in that context, it loses either way. But if you had done that, then you could have easily gone the route that it was an actual, genuine, multiple personality scenario where he would have never known it was him.
Well, I think that is the case with Norman Osborn in some storylines,
right?
And that he and the Goblin are completely different identities in living in that head, and it's because of the serum that he takes. And
which is a weird kind of super soldier palliative that's not real,
right? But the thing is that based on what we're seeing so far in this series, I could very much see this as being Norman inspired by Spider-Man to want to become another hero.
Yeah, I could see that too. Or because you start out with the best of intentions, and then the thing he uses ends up being worse and bad for him. Very, very. We're borrowing cues from what do you call it, Jekyll and Hyde, which of course, right. Which is inspiration for the Hulk and different things. But still, I get it. Darren points out he's always been more of a Hobgoblin guy. I also was a Hobgoblin fan. Hobgoblin was the one who is, instead of green face, is sort of a yellowy face with an orange outfit. He actually used to be the Jack-o'-lantern, which was a freelancer who because back in the day, apparently villains would go to like the toy maker or this guy who just made stuff for them and just be villains. Like the way they show Invincible and has a superhero guy, they have bad guys. They have a bad guy version of that in Spider-Man's world.
Right, and that is kind of established in one of the later episodes that you have not yet seen. Except it's not Toy Maker.
No, it's whatever.
It is Otto Octavius.
Oh, he's the one doing it?
He's the one that's basically selling tech to bad guys to become superpowered bad guys. And the interesting thing, though, is that while they did the whole gender race swap on all these other characters, Otto Octavius looks exactly like Otto Octavius from the comics.
That's awesome.
Like, exactly. He is short, stumpy, has a square head. Everything looks exactly like Otto Octavius from the comic books. That's awesome. So it's like the second the door opened, he didn't have to say who he was. I recognized the face. It's that good.
That's awesome. I love that so much. One of the my God, I can't remember their names right now. Forgive me. There's an independent comic book company. They do primarily like black superheroes and stuff. And one of the things he pointed out was, I forget which one it is. But one of the guys, he points out that he's like, he goes, I guess Norman Osborn could totally be a black guy. After all, he had cornrows before they were cool.
That's a funny thing you say that, is because I get that where, like, I always tripped on the Osborn's hair.
Oh no, totally. I never understood that look whatsoever.
Yeah, it's like, what the heck was that? And making them black does kind of explain it.
Clarence, I wish. Clarence says maybe it was as simple as, wait, we can get Coleman Domingo. Also, is there a possibility they would bring him to the live action? That would be amazing if they took even like a bit of what James Gunn's talking about doing, which is if you voice animation through should be the same actor. I would love to see Coleman. If Coleman Domingo showed up as Doc Ock, or not Doc Ock, forgive me, as Norman Osborn.
Is that the guy that voiced him?
Yeah, I'd be down. Coleman Domingo, oh, straight up, guy's an Oscar Award winner, an Oscar Award nominee.
Looking at him, it's not hard to imagine that's
not at all, dude. You could totally see him talking all cool with that black turtleneck and that green suit. Yeah. Let's go.
I would definitely be down for that in the MCU.
Yeah. That would be so cool. I can't believe we're actually having somewhat of a meaningful conversation about this show, only because I do love Spider-Man. Spider-Man, honestly, was my uncle years ago got me into comics before a friend of mine. So my etymology with my origin story, if you will, is I got into my uncle introduced me to Spider-Man, which using the Todd McFarlane run, where it just became Spider-Man. And then later on, back issues, my uncle got me into Secret Wars and some other stuff and the black suit and all that. Right. But so I fell in love with Todd McFarlane Spider-Man. And then he, like, right when I got into it, he dipped out and Eric Larson started drawing. And Eric Larson, I fell in love with as an artist. The guy's politics are all over the road, but I fell in love with him as an artist. And so then a couple years after that, another friend introduced me to the X-Men, and that's what made me want to be an illustrator briefly. So I got into artwork and drawing and design and stuff because of comics. I love this stuff. When I was 17, I walked into Marvel Comics with a portfolio because I had seen Rob Liefeld in an advertisement, was like, hire me. And so big brass ones, I know. And they were very nice, very cordial. Hey, you got to work on this, work on the other, work on that. And so they said, go get a job at a screen printer. I did that. Next thing you know, I'm in marketing and advertising for the rest of my life. But luckily, it led me to film and TV. So whatever, Bob's your uncle. But still, comics, man. I love me some comic books. Oh yeah, no, totally. Darren's right. Sandman had the same hair as the Osborns, and then
maybe Sandman will be black too.
What is that hairstyle though? What do you even call that? It's not. It was like I said, cornrows before cornrows. I don't know what you call that. But anyway,
let's see. I'm looking.
Yeah, man.
I'm looking for something right now.
I'm a Savage Dragon fan. I've been reading them, regardless of where they go. I'm kind of like, at this point, I'm sort of staring down the barrel at the man, and I'm like, you blink first. You stop drawing it, and then before I stop reading it. One of us is giving up before the other one does. He is. No, he is. Yeah, he absolutely.
And it sounds like
he might still be doing new Dragon comics. He absolutely is. 100%.
I think I just got a donation because I just heard something on my screen.
Oh, you heard yours open? No.
Yeah, but you don't have the thing set up on
because it's not on here because we're using the dynamic setting because it's easier to change backgrounds and everything.
Yeah, so
that's why it doesn't have. They need to. That's what we got to tell EV Mux to fix. Give us that the counter thing I can set up as an actual widget.
And let me
actually. They did just make. Not that we're sorry. Everybody has to watch our everybody has to watch our housekeeping
production meetings here.
Yeah, we're just like whatever. Anyway, so
hold on. I'm logging into because it's like I couldn't.
He wants to know. He's like, I want to know who it was. Damn it.
Well, no, I know who it was now, but I need to see the.
So who was that? So okay, while you're looking that up, I got the craziest comment from somebody on last week's show, and it was like, please stop interrupting Salty with comments from no one cares about what the plebs are saying. It's not like all like that, I swear. I probably could do it in a Trump accent and it might even sound better. But either way,
maybe it was Trump.
I sent you ABJ, we're going to talk about the Fantastic Four, I promise. We're going to talk all about that in a minute, but shockingly, we have traction on the Spider-Man topic.
Let me just read this.
Go ahead.
The donation was from Mercer.
Hey, Merce.
And it says, of the two, I'm looking more forward to Superman. I'm eager for true heroism. I like the characters of Fantastic Four, but the powers, especially Reed, are dumb as F. Which I will respectfully disagree with you about their power set, because all their powers are an extension of their persona.
Just because in the very beginning, Reed mentions that they always have dinner every Sunday. He failed to mention Taco Tuesday, but either way, he was ready with family values, and that's core to the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
actually
I
we'll
love that so
we'll
much.
get to the trailer in a minute, but
Yes. Sorry.
so cornrows.
Yeah. Norman Osborn and Sandman. Like this, it was a style choice. And here's the thing: it became so much a part of those characters, and not even the style of the era, that those styles have stayed. John Romita Jr. did it. John Ragney did it. Everybody continued that style and was like, I mean, that's just the way we draw him. I don't know. Shoot. What kind of hair does he have? I don't even know. His hair. It's like, what are you gonna do, man? Oh, I love it. Oh my God! Apparently, when John Byrne tried to reboot Spider-Man, he established Sandman was related to the Osborns, hence the hair. I 1,000% believe that. I have no clue. I haven't fact checked it. I believe that though, because that makes sense.
So here's since Darren was researching that part in his massive warehouse of a brain, I actually have to use Google. But it says in the 50s, sticked back hair was all the rage, which were tight curls, which often ended up looking something like what we see on Norman Osborn. Ditko's visuals were shorthand for that style. Later artists didn't understand what they were looking at and just emulated what he drew as opposed to the hairstyle.
I'm just gonna leave this comment here.
Yeah, don't white shame, man.
That's right. I love that so much. No, now that you say that, I can actually see that what we're considering the row was actually just supposed to be like the shine how the
shine from the hair going, kind of like actually my hair on the sides is very much like that.
Right. But unfortunately, when you do the thing, it literally looks like rows across the head.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So yeah, we can now say that the new Spider-Man series is guilty of cultural appropriation by taking away our good white boys' hairstyles.
Oh my God. Hey, ABJ, so I know we don't do a lot of comic book stuff, but I'm actually also waiting for my only exposure to the Absolute Universe in DC has been Comics Explains videos. But I do look forward to the collected collections because DC's doing the smaller ones. So when they do the absolutes, I'm definitely going to get them, and you will see them back here on my shelves very soon.
So as far as Spider-Man, I would say this: if is it groundbreaking, awesome? No, but do I have a problem with it at this point? Not really. The weird choices as far as race and stuff. Honestly, since none of these characters that have been bent, so to speak, appeared in the proper MCU, they're not really bent, and I get it. They want to have as much diversity as they can squeeze out with whatever characters they can get away with. And,
yeah, I agree with
that. So the Kirk Connors thing. I mean, are they going to actually make a girl lizard? I don't know, but I hope
that would be kind of cool. I think it'd be cool just because I'm down for seeing anything new.
They'll call her Janeway.
100%. I could absolutely see that.
And she'll go around looking for young men named Tom to rape.
What just happened?
That's what Captain Janeway did when she turned into a lizard.
You're so bad, sir. Wow. I don't even know what to do with you right now, bro.
And ABJ, this is not a dog. This is a wingless bat.
True story.
She's like, wait, what?
Right? It's like, what are we talking about? And you're like, yeah. So about that.
All right. So, anything else you want to say about Spider-Man before we move on to?
No, I think we're good.
All right.
I really do. No, seriously, I think we're good. I think it's just one of those things where the sooner I can sort of figure out what I'm doing. I'm trying to stall for a second while I can get this thing up here because I really want us to try to see if we can talk through some of this. I'm not going to play it, but I feel like we can talk through.
Why do you have it in the vertical format?
What are you talking about? It's
that's the door opening. I thought it was like in the YouTube Shorts.
No, that's awesome. No, you're good. All right, yeah, no. So let's get into the Fantastic Four of it all.
Yeah.
So I, like many others, also saw the Fantastic Four trailer.
Wait a second. Yes, I hear the voice. So that means that
He's like, that means I have to go check this out now, please.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
All right, let me go to home.
Let me go figure it out. Excuse me.
And yes, it's another donation from Mercer. Thank you, my friend. And it says, drawings simplify real life, but I also think that way about visual effects in films. Superman doesn't turn the Earth backwards. Visual shorthand for time travel. Now, I would actually agree with that. Superman did not literally spin the Earth backwards. Superman just flew so fast that the Earth's revolving from. We were seeing the universe.
Really having that conversation right now.
No, but this is something I think people don't get. We were seeing the universe from Superman's perspective. So he was going so fast, time was going backwards, and so we saw the Earth revolving the other way because we were seeing the universe as if time were reversed.
I agree. Nobody understands that. I literally, I hate to break it to everyone, I never once thought, even as a child watching it, I didn't go, you mean if we turn the world backwards, we'll suddenly go back in time? Ever. I was like, no, you putzes, that's
Not
him.
to mention, if the Earth spun as fast as we literally see on screen, everyone would be dead. The oceans would have basically covered the entire surface of and it would have been like, it would have looked like something out of a Roland Emmerich film with like these giant tidal waves just completely obliterating all life.
All right, so let's get into this thing real quick. So first things first, we see them open up. They open up literally onto what they're calling the Baxter Building.
We assume it is the Baxter Building, yes.
Yeah, and so they walk around and they're doing some.
So we have a lot of things to like here. I mean, honestly,
I love the ratio of it. I love that it's in that 4:3.
Oh, the 4:3, yeah.
Which I think is probably because I bet you this is some sort of we go get to take a look in the life of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I get the feeling maybe the guy with them is like a reporter or something like that, and he's like, "Ooh, a day in the life of the Fantastic Four," you know?
Right? No, absolutely. Oh my God, that's brilliant, actually, because I can totally see that.
Yeah. Now, but notice that the color scheme is basically their uniform colors plus natural wood planks, which was all the rage in the 60s and 70s.
It really was.
And
so then it gets wider, and we get to see the actual Baxter Building.
Yeah. But
now, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, so and like you mentioned already, that Reed starts out by saying that they have family dinner every week.
Every Sunday night at 7:00, we never miss it. Well, something nonsense like that.
I will say this: in my review of the trailer, I said I didn't particularly like when the characters talked because most of them didn't sound to me like their character personas. The exception to that rule that I should have mentioned and I didn't is Reed in that scene. He sounded like Reed Richards to me. He sounded just confused enough that he was like, because something that people don't understand, Reed really was the absent-minded professor. He was the smartest man in the Marvel universe, but at the same time, he couldn't understand why Sue got pissed off at him if he missed dinner. You know,
yeah,
and so,
that's correct.
So he is definitely he's based on the idea of an absent-minded professor, of someone who's emotionally a little confused, but is brilliant when it comes to science and technology and stuff like that.
What'd you think of the Baxter Building?
I like it, but I would have preferred that it just looked like the classic Baxter Building from the comics. Okay. I get the whole retro future 60s vibe, but at the same time, the Baxter Building to me, prior to Doom blowing it up in orbit, the Baxter Building to me was always very iconic, and so and granted, it's a very simple design, but I was hoping for that.
Creep just seems angry tonight in the comments, bro. Like, good lord. Anyway, so then we get this really clever scene that I actually dug. Dude, there's no preamble. There's no foreplay. It's just boom. Here's Ben Grimm, the Thing.
Not only that, but he's sitting there talking to Herbie.
Which, by the way, looks amazing.
Yeah, I loved Herbie. Even though we don't hear Herbie say anything
No.
in the comics, Herbie did talk.
I believe they've cast someone to be his voice, so
Right.
he is going to talk.
Yes.
Then of course we get the idea that Herbie's trying to help cook dinner. I think. What did you think of the clever play that having the guy who plays cousin in the bear, who also plays the Thing, doing this like clear food.
I get that that's a nod to his role on the Bear. I've only seen like one episode of the Bear, and only because he was in it, because I wanted to see how his acting style was.
Sure.
But my problem with this, first of all, the Thing looks wonderful.
Doesn't he? Like, I think he looks amazing.
You can tell it is. Yeah, you can tell it is a practical suit augmented with CG, which is exactly what they should be doing. You know, with something with a character like the Thing.
ABJ's like, I hated the scene. That's okay, brother. You don't have to.
So, well, no, don't get me wrong, ABJ. I'm going to get to that. So I'm just talking about the aesthetics first, okay?
No, right,
and remember, what was the first thing I said about this movie? It looks great.
Yes, looks amazing.
I absolutely love the aesthetics. Everything, like Herbie looks great. The Thing looks great. You know, pretty much zero complaints there. However, when the Thing is talking, it's like, where's his Brooklyn accent? Why? And why? I mean, yeah, the Thing is a member. You know, we're talking about street gangs. The Thing was part of the Yangtze Street Gang, who, by the way, held a grudge against him for decades, and we're always giving him a hard time. Like anytime the Yangtze Street Gang saw him, they would throw cans and stuff at him without even being afraid of him, even though he could kill them by snapping his fingers at them. You know, but yes, Darren, the Brooklyn accent was there and very subtle, but Ben ain't subtle. That's my point. Ben Grimm is not, oh, we're going to give him a hint of Brooklyn. No, he is as Brooklyn gets. Like, I actually, like, think about it. In the Tim Story film.
Well, real quick, Phoenix Gundam, who wants to bring up, and he needs to have deeper voice.
I would agree with that too.
That's not true. In fact, there's more than one comic that I can point to where he is not in any way, shape, or form. His voice is the only thing about him that has not changed. It's the only. Everyone acts like we're supposed to be rock. They always talk about it in the comics several times.
But I like Michael Chiklis's voice.
Deceptively. So let me get this right. The movie that you think sucks, but you like that one piece of it.
I've said over and over that I thought Michael Chiklis and Chris Evans were inspired as Johnny in the Thing. Unfortunately, the other half of the team and Dr. Doom, not so much. Right. In fact, Jessica Alba, what the hell?
I thought Jessica was amazing.
You know, huh?
I thought she was amazing.
I think she looks amazing, but
that's not what we're talking about. Because you don't hire Jessica Alba because she's going to give you, you know, the speech of the ship of Theseus or whatever. They're not going to give you you hire Jessica Alba to be Jessica Alba.
Right. But yeah, the Thing, and I'm trying to remember the 1978 cartoon that Darren's referencing, but I think it was kind of in a way similar to the Chiklis kind of thing, where he's like kind of grovelly with, yeah, what you doing? And that's Ben. It's not even like he could be higher or lower pitched, but he's got to sound like a tough mook from.
I'm sorry. Okay, real quick. He's also, as you're like, he's not subtle. He's this and this. He's got to sound like a cliche of a Guido from blah blah blah. I want to let's bring you down to earth for a minute.
I didn't say Guido. I said a
character of Ben Grimm has always been one of the best pilots that NASA or the space program had.
Right.
That back then, to get such a position was not just about the good old boys with the yucks and being able to have the cigarettes turned up in your sleeve on all the things you're used to from your childhood. But what it does do is it requires you to be intelligent. Now, because he maybe has that city boy in him, he acts a certain way and he feels a certain whatever, because at this point he feels like a monster. But you have to be smart and intelligent to do what he did. So to act like only the cliches from the 60s comic are relevant and none of the actual character that was there, I feel like it's very short-sighted.
And let me say this. So actually, highlight Victor's most recent comment because I want to say something on that. Because no, don't get me wrong. And this is not Ben Grimm. This
One
is
of mine. I love Victor. Victor's one of mine.
This is the actor playing him. Was actually not a DEI hire specifically, but they hired a Jewish actor because Ben Grimm is Jewish.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
And so, I
totally
get that it was a joke, Victor. I just thought it was kind of funny that you said that. And actually, I thought about the fact that, in a sense, the actor was kind of DEI because they were looking for a Jew, but at the same time, I don't have a problem with it. I just wish that and if you've ever heard his natural voice, like they're all freaking English. It's like, what's the deal?
Oh my gosh, that's the funniest part too. Yeah, exactly. They all have some accent of some kind.
Yeah, Pedro has a Latin accent, and I think the rest of them are all English. But
so Creep, as much as I would want to agree with you from a fundamental like standpoint, I would agree with that. The comics documentedly has said on numerous occasions his voice, like on the phone, you can't hear anything different about him from then how he was to now.
Right. Although, but it does create a bit of a problem with the two Tim Story films because in the Tim Story films, they do establish that his entire internal systems are all made out of rock. There is no blood, it's all just rock.
You do find the irony in the fact that you who argue against this film, though you keep leaning on the Michael Chiklis part of it all, you keep bringing up their like canonical whatever, and I'm like,
well, because there's what we have. I mean, as far as the Fantastic Four in cinema, let's be real. There's the two Tim Story films, which were okay. They weren't, I don't hate those movies, right. but I think that Doom was horribly wasted. And I think Reed was too young, and I think Jessica Alba is a joke.
I think you're right. Wasted is the right word for Doom because actually I like that iteration of Doom. I wish they would have let him flex and just become Doctor Doom, and they never once did. Right. They always kept him real into, and I hated that. So I do agree with you there.
All right. So, and Galactus is a cloud. Don't get me started. However, Lawrence Fishburne as Silver Surfer was awesome.
Really
but then what are the other choices? You have the Harvey Korman thing, which never even got released in theaters. And
I love this image of them as astronauts. It actually looks really cool. I think it's cool we get the experimental plane angle because that was a big part of the actual their origin is very much that. I think I get we're not going to get full blown origin story.
No, but it does appear that they're sticking with the comic book origin. Like, remember in the Josh Trank Abomination Fant Four Stick?
Well, they were going more with the Ultimate Universe.
Right, but I'm just saying. So they changed the origin in that to them going to another dimension. Right. In this, they're doing. It looks like the classic origin. Now, it may not be cosmic rays, because now cosmic rays are rather mundane. Yeah, but they could say something, change their DNA in space.
You get this cool moment with Ben, and that where you get to see Ben before he became the Thing. Which, by the way, that's a very unique position for any actor to be in, and the guy needs kudos for that. Is being in a position. By the way, the reason I'm not commenting more about the comment section is because it's hard for me to be on that screen because I have to have that on a different panel.
That and he took it seriously when that one person messaged him and said, "Stop cutting me off."
No, really didn't. But no. But yeah, no, it's I just loved the fact that they do show that they're in pain. Johnny, you get to see him full blown. We got so many things in this trailer that I didn't think we'd get from a basic character trailer.
Yeah, but the thing is, we don't get any character of Johnny.
No, but you get to see the fire, and you get to see him like a little kid in his helmet in his living room when his sister walks in.
Right. It would be nice if they had done something to it. That's the only thing he says in the entire trailer is hi.
I think that's okay though because there's a lot of real estate they got to establish. I 100% buy them together. I don't know what it is about these two. I think I had a hard time with Yoan Gruffid and Jessica Alba in the original ones.
Jessica, like I said, Jessica Alba was, come on.
She was way punching below her weight class if Reed's the guy she ended up with.
Well, not only that, but I mean, so what did she and Johnny are supposed to be brother and sister. So what did she have, a race transplant surgery or something? But anyway,
What's happened?
I'm just
Okay.
There's
Of course, we get the Fantastic Car.
We do.
I thought it was cool. I'm like, yay, the Fantastic Car being all fantastic.
Yeah, zooming down the street. It's not flying though.
No, definitely. But I think it probably ends up doing that.
Oh, we will definitely see it fly by the end of the movie.
Yeah, of course.
Now, Johnny, I got to say, Johnny on fire and flying looks very much like Chris Evans.
Which is funny because I'm like, how many ways are there to do that?
Oh, I know. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that's actually.
I'm with you though. I'm with you. I'm like, how many? Like, what did I expect? I didn't expect him to redefine because remember they're basing it a lot like Ant-Man shrinking. The reason it looks the way it does is because they're trying to emulate the comic book effect. So the same thing when you're trying to mimic the Human Torch's effect, you get this, and I think it works. It always works. It worked here. It worked in the Josh Trank movie. The only convincing thing out of all these movies have been the Human Torch in terms of how they represent him. I love seeing Ben running like that. I don't know why.
That was kind of weird to me. I mean, like, I didn't have a problem with it. It was just kind of odd because we've never really seen the thing run before.
Now, what is going on here with John Malkovich? When did he become Gandalf, and when did the Fantastic Four?
You shall not pass. There are several theories on who he is. One is the Mole Man because the Mole Man is the first villain.
You think? No, you don't give the Mole Man this like dramatic moment in the trailer, do you?
Well, but you don't say who he is, so nobody knows. They just say, "Hey, by the way, John Malkovich is in the movie." The other that I've heard is the Red Ghost.
Johnny Canal. Victor says.
But if he's Red Ghost, he looks more like Red Ghost. As far as like if you've ever seen, I don't know if you know what Red Ghost looks like, but if you look him up, he looks a lot like that.
Oh, wait, Lawrence Fishburne was just the voice of the Silver Surfer. He was not the Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
The Silver Surfer was actually our boy from Discovery.
Well, the Silver Surfer was going to be renamed the Onyx Surfer, but then they
Nice.
the
Pewter Surfer. That's right. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Victor's dead right. You make Jack Black the mole, bro. You know
what? I would absolutely love to see that.
Oh, especially because I would see him. You totally see him come up and he'd be like, "What's going on, surface dwellers?" I'm like, do it all day. Let him be his Jack Blackiest. I'm totally there for it.
But yeah, so
Oh, that's right. Victor says Johnny Canal was Malkovich's hilarious SNL character. I should have remembered that. You're absolutely right.
Which character was that? I'm trying to remember.
From SNL. Look it up. Seriously, go look at it. Clarence, thank you for the reminder of his Doug Jones. For the name. Absolutely. This clip was a waste of 2 seconds. ABJ, who hurt you tonight? What is going on, dog? I love you, bro, but you're just so angry at this thing. You're like, it was boring. It was a snore fest. Look, it was what it was. It made me smile. Honestly, I'm sitting here going, show me Reed Richards stretching, you cowards. Okay, show me that. And then I think somebody said it's very difficult to do that effect convincingly yet. And so they probably were like, look, you're going to see it in the movie. It's as good as we can make it. We're just not going to give you guys any more rage bait at this stage.
I think there's some truth to what you just said. I do think that they didn't show it because some jerk on some other.
Baby J says Marvel hurt me. I was hoping for an exciting FF movie.
Wow.
Fair enough, bro. Hey, you answered my question. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Salty.
I was going to say some jerk. See, you keep interrupting me. That's why you're pissing off me. I know. No, I think some jerk on some other YouTube channel, that's name I will not mention, would probably freeze frame any shot of him stretching and then talking about how bad it looks.
Here's the thing. I guarantee you in the movie that the scene, the frame from a little bit earlier that showed them all, that showed Reed being his reediest, this scene here.
You think he's stretching?
You that other arm eventually is writing something or reaching to grab something. I guarantee.
Well, yeah, because that blackboard is so long.
Way
It's like
long, right?
it
The whole
begs
scene.
to duplicate what Reed did from the first Fantastic Four movie.
But that itself is something from a comic. So I get why they're all doing it. It's a very iconic type thing where he's doing long form math and just keeps going
Mhm.
or something along those lines. And I'm like, okay. But yeah, as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, his arm's in this in the movie. They just did not want to. They were like, you know what? I'm not gonna feed you guys any more rage bait nonsense. So anyway. But then of course we get the big reveal. Spoilers if you want to know about Fantastic Four, get out. We see
Wow!
this
Don't tell
big
people to get out. We're trying to grow
whatever,
the channel.
bro. You see that? I don't want to complain anything about spoilers. If you see this giant, by the way, I'm looking at I have a giant screen behind my camera, which is why I keep pointing at you. So if you look at this, it's like this huge shadow. And the minute I saw it, I was like, oh, and I thought that was it. And then we
Right.
get this, and I'm
Yeah.
like, it was blink and you miss it, and I was like, what the what?
I was
Oh my
absolutely
God.
blown away that we have a comic book accurate Galactus.
Bro,
you know,
unbelievable.
and
And then if you watch this trailer, I'm sorry, this moment, which I'm sure is probably from a variety TV show, because this is similar to like the stage the monkeys used. Like
well,
when
or
they're
it could be,
like-
you know what? It could be the intro to the TV show that has the guy walking around seeing them cooking.
Totally. But all I know is in this moment, the theme song comes in. It's like Fantastic Four, and I got a chill. I was like, oh my God, how did this handle me like this? Here's
Right.
the thing, Creep, ABJ, I understand 1,000,000% where you guys are coming from. I don't know, and up to this point, I was like, okay, the visuals are okay. I mean, I like the thing. I like the way he looks. I like this. I like that. Again, it's an early first teaser. What am I thinking? And then all of a sudden, we get to this moment, and something about this song choice and how it hit just right, a shiver ran down my back, and I was like, ooh, okay, now I'm excited. I don't know what I do. And every time I watch this trailer, because I've seen it several more times since,
Mhm.
this moment hits, and I'm like, what is going on with me? So I love it. I love
And
it.
you know, I gotta say a couple of things. That the only aesthetic choice that I'm not the biggest fan of, but I totally get why they did it, is I would have preferred blue on black as opposed to blue on white, which is more their classic uniform style.
Right
They,
on.
they did do blue on white in like later iterations, because they've changed their uniform 1,000 times. But
Oh yeah.
and so I'm not saying that, oh, it's blasphemy because it's not exactly like from the comics, because it does look a lot like some of the comic uniforms. Also,
Right.
Ben did wear a full suit in the beginning.
Real quick, ABJ, you're absolutely correct. He says,
Mhm.
actually, I got when I get to the end, I thought maybe the second trailer will have a villain. You're correct. So in trailer parlance, this is what's known as a character trailer or an establishing trailer. There's very little story or meat and potatoes to the story. This is strictly to establish who the characters are, the aesthetic of the world, and to kind of get you talking. Now, obviously, the detractors will be like, "Oh, it's got me talking, all right," and that's fine. But the truth is that the next
See,
one,
that's what the thing should sound like.
I hate you.
That's exactly what the thing should sound like.
I don't have any problem whatsoever. In fact, I thought it was clever as heck, especially because I feel like Thing they're going to represent him cool. I liked the energy and vibe I was getting from him. But overall, I am excited for this. Let's switch back to our normal kind of just us talking and sort
I
of
would
see
say
what-
this.
Go for
I
it.
am fully expecting at this point. I'm not setting like astronomically high standards because Marvel has been hit and miss lately. But but at the same time, I do think we're going to get the best Fantastic Four movie that's ever been made. So based on what we see in this trailer, the fact that it does seem like they're putting some care into it. The whole thing about setting it in the '60s was inspired.
Agreed.
And the fact that they have the balls to do a comic accurate Herbie the Robot and Galactus in the first Fantastic Four film, that tells me that they care about the source material.
Stanley goes, I just wish Pedro would shave his damn mustache.
I agree on that, by the way. I think, I know that Darren said he wished that they would recast Pedro. I don't mind Pedro. I really don't. I think he's a good
No,
enough
same.
actor. But
Yeah,
what is
I do
up
too.
with it? What kind of dirt does he hold on every producer in Hollywood that they don't make him shave that stupid mustache?
He's going to the. She's going to that very old. Who was that? Romero, the guy who played the Joker, the original Joker.
Yeah, where he wouldn't shave his mustache.
He refused, and if you look, the white is literally on his mustache. And I'm
Right.
sitting here going, I'm like, Pedro, bro, you ain't that kind of a brand. Like, cut it out. He's like, I can
Well,
just
he
see him
thinks
like,
he is
I'm a
because he's
brand,
been in
and my
everything.
mustache is also a brand. And you're like, stop it. Stop it.
So like I said, Pedro's acting, I have no problem with whatsoever. That mustache, though, it is so not Reed. That looks more like what I would expect to see on a Tony Stark or Stephen Strange, not Reed Richards.
Agreed.
And so, and now, okay, so since you mentioned the whole, Pedro being more than 30% of this project, I'm actually a little concerned because all the rumors have been that this is going to be a very Sue-centric movie.
Well, and it's funny the way they establish it. Notice it's her voiceover.
It is, and she's the one that's kind of the one that pulls everybody together and stuff.
Which I can see.
See, and depending on if they do it right,
was that a Reed Richards pun? She pulls everyone together. Is that not? Is that?
No,
or is that an Invisible Woman? Okay, I'm done.
The thing is, now she's talking to Reed in that trailer, and
having a moment.
And honestly, if they do the first family correctly, that is how she would talk to Reed, but that's not how she would ever talk to Ben or Johnny. And so, and again, this is just like, to me, knowing the Fantastic Four as intimately well as I do, and thinking about their history as a family unit, she is absolutely Reed's inspiration on life. But Reed is the team's inspiration. And so Reed is the team leader, but she's the one who basically inspires him to be the best he can be. And so if they play that up, I'm totally fine with that. What I'm worried about is that they're just going to make her the team leader. And to me, that breaks a core aspect of what the Fantastic Four represent, especially if you're going to set it in the 60s. Because if you're going to set it today, sure, Modern Family, Johnny's in charge. Why not? And by the way, Johnny is trans and identifies as a fire hydrant or something.
It actually have a fire hydrant. I was going to play a flamingo dancer, but fire hydrant works too. Yeah. I can totally see that. Right on.
That's why he becomes the Human Torch.
Hey, I get it. Okay. So what?
Herbie's in charge. You're 100% right, Mike. Herbie's running the show.
The thing is, are we going to get to see their eventually, like, the computer assistant, whatever her name is? Not Herbie, but the later on one.
Oh yeah, that was a John Byrne invention.
I love that stuff. Yeah, flaming dancer. Good job.
Yeah. Yeah, where there's basically, if you go into the Baxter Building reception area, there's a torso robot that's basically welcomes you to the Baxter Building and will tell you if they can see you and all that.
I'll go with that too. Phoenix Gundam says, I don't really want to see MCU Namor fawning over Sue, though. That version is insufferable. It totally is.
Well, but you could have Mr. Fantastic and Namor arguing with each other in Spanish.
Oh my God, it's hilarious. Good night, Creep. See you later, Creep. Darren says the torso robot receptionist creeped me out. I think that's a very human reaction to have, sir.
It was kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie.
ABJ asks, so back to Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Was this universe in that movie? Remember the one where they briefly were animated? That was probably it.
No, but the answer is no, because we saw a different Mr. Fantastic in the 818 or whatever it is. And so, which, by the way, don't count him out yet. Don't count Krasinski out of the picture. There was an unfortunately unfilmed scene but it was written there was going to be a post-credit scene from Multiverse of Madness that showed that he had survived the witch's attack, and that basically the you were going to. It was kind of like where you see like Superman's coffin at the end of Batman v Superman or something like that. So at the end,
Yes.
you see like the spaghettified remains of Reed on the ground. The camera pans in, and then the remains start to move together, and it cuts to black.
Robert Rose Jr. points out appropriately, it won't be the same without Stanley cameo, though. Brother, I appreciate you. Yes,
You
you're
know,
absolutely correct.
yeah, it's the past, but the passing of Stanley is sad, but I'm not going to call it a tragedy. The man was like older than dirt, and he.
It's a tragedy for the world and his creativity. Mind you, he hadn't really created anything in a long time. But either way,
Well, and the funny thing, and again, I love. Please don't think I'm trying to throw shade at Stan the Man. However,
hold on, everybody. We're gonna listen for that shade he's about to throw.
yeah. However, Stan did, and it's not entirely his fault, but Stan was basically given credit for creating all these characters carte blanche. But in fact, most of them were created in tandem with an artist. Stan was not an artist; he was a writer.
Sure.
And so like it was Jack Kirby actually designed the Fantastic Four, not Stan Lee.
Yeah, I agree.
And in fact, if you look at the Thing, especially the early stuff, the Thing looks very Jack Kirby. Galactus, as Darren already pointed out, very Jack Kirby.
Oh my God! Of course, his influence has been so ridiculous.
Right, and so, but unfortunately, nobody knows. I mean, I'm talking about the normies. I'm not talking about the hardcore like us. Nobody knows who the heck Jack Kirby is, because everybody knows who Stan Lee is.
Human Torch, No Way Home. Okay,
Well,
first
honestly,
off,
okay, so
I think we've all agree. I think we can all agree they're all liars, and I'm not even talking about the stuff we know that they're liars about. I'm talking about like, as far as I'm concerned, don't believe anybody from the MCU for a while until they tell you they're not whatever. Until you see their character physically die and bite it, and even then, Tony Stark is back as Doom. So you know what? As far as I'm concerned, come on, what are we doing?
The way you know that an actor is lying is they're moving their lips, right? and this is something people don't even think about. What is an actor's job? To be able to effectively lie.
Yeah.
That's literally their job. And so why in the world would you believe anything they have to say in these interviews when you know that they know a lot more than what they're saying? Like, let's say that
NDAs, dude. When I was working in entertainment, our NDA was like maybe 20 pages long.
Right.
Their NDAs you have to sign are literally tomes. They're like a ream of paper.
Think about this. How long before last summer do you think Chris Evans knew he was playing the Human Torch again?
Oh, very long.
At least a couple of years, right?
Absolutely.
So if we see that Human Torch or a return of Captain America in Doomsday or Secret Wars, he already knows full well about it. It's a done deal. It's not a matter of, well, I'll consider it. No, it's already been considered and the decision has been made. And no, AB, I tell you, everything Tom Holland said was intentional.
You think they would let him?
Absolutely, because you know what? Every time Tom Holland opened their mouth, a million YouTubers started talking about Tom Holland leaked great information here, when in actuality was really nothing. He never, think about it. Did he spoil anything major about Infinity War or any? No.
I don't think that we already didn't know. You're right.
Yeah. So, so I think Tom Holland was basically their patsy. They purposely set him up to accident because he's the youngest guy.
Here's the thing. I do believe maybe the first time it happened, it was genuine, and he managed to skate away without horrible trouble. And then they were like, "We need to use this. We need to use this."
Right. And same thing with Ruffalo. Anytime any of them say something,
Well, you have to remember, they purposely, I know exactly what you're talking about, Stan. They filmed, in actuality, a death scene for everyone. They did that on purpose. I don't know
so
if
they
you're
wouldn't
aware
know
of
for
that.
sure who lives and who
100%. Nobody had any clue. They could build, and even the people themselves, the actors, until later on, didn't know which was which. So they filmed a lot of fake scenes for the sake of throwing off leakers and other people out there. I know there was a concerted effort this last year with all the other movies that are coming out that they actually started getting fake leaks so they could start seeing where the holes were.
Oh, wait, hey, hold on. Speaking of fake leaks, Robert apparently has seen Captain America already.
Wow.
So you can highlight his comment there.
There you go. I wish I knew.
Yeah, because apparently we know for a fact now that there will not be a battle between Red Hulk and the Hulk because Robert has seen the movie. And look, I know I'm just giving you a hard time, of course, Robert, but that's exactly the kind of thing that unfortunately, because people assume they know everything there is to know about that movie.
I mean, come on. You
Yeah.
don't?
Well, I
Just
know
from the trailers we've seen, you don't know
Yeah.
everything about this movie?
I know that according to certain segments of the fan population, it's going to be the biggest bomb in the history of movies. But whatever, you know.
I don't know. I personally, so my thing is this: I'm very excited for Captain America. Very excited for Thunderbolts. It's a different kind of excitement for the Fantastic Four.
Oh,
I'm not
absolutely.
even talking- I mean, I'm seeing, even getting to see a glimmer into the world that they're putting together and how well put together it is. Whether or not Creep wanted something more, whether or not ABJ enjoyed what he saw, regardless, look, I have a feeling this, like, you can't argue with the fact that what we saw was, on its own merit, impressive. Now, you may have wanted more,
Right.
but what we saw was impressive.
And yeah, so we don't know everything that's going to happen in the Fantastic Four movie, but I can say this: it looks like it's going to at least visually be quite a treat. And if nothing else, we're going to see, we're absolutely going to see a comic book accurate Kirby, a comic book accurate Galactus, and so based on those two things, I highly doubt they're going to completely screw the pooch on everything else. Because if they're willing to roll the dice on Herbie and Galactus looking like as silly as they look in the comic books, they're just putting them on screen, and I am totally down for that.
Victor's absolutely correct. Victor G. Giovanni says Fantastic Four has to be the earnest, bright MCU movie, like Superman has to be the same for DC. We just
I agree. Yeah, and this is, honestly, I agree with you 100%. That's why I said, even though I'm not a big fan of the white on blue, I get that's why they're doing it. They're trying to make it look even brighter than they already are as characters. I just, we'll see as more trailers come out, and eventually, of course, we'll see the movie by the end. I can't believe we're going to see it this year, so I am really excited.
I will say that the Herbie is comic book accurate the same way that Strange New Worlds is TOS accurate. It's an interpretation of a specific style.
When I
Herbie
say,
had
okay,
a square
so is
face,
Herbie...
he had two big round eyes. He's got a thin stalk neck. He's got a portly somewhat body. He floats, and his arms are connected to the sides. I think it's a comic book accurate Herbie. Sorry, he's not.
And I would say the same thing about Galactus.
But I think he looks dead right.
Right, and the same thing that you could say about Galactus. Like, is Galactus the exact same shade of purple that he was in the comics? No, but it looks like freaking Galactus. Like, you see that head over the Statue of Liberty, and you know that's Galactus.
Yep. I'm sorry. And if you line up every picture since Kirby invented Galactus, nobody's ever got it 100% right. Everyone takes some level of creative.
Well, the funny thing is, Kirby's Galactus wore shorts and no sleeves. So,
Awesome. Yeah, he totally did. He totally did. First time I saw it, I asked, I was like, is he wearing a kilt? Because it looked like a weird skirt the way that. But I love all the stuff that when it comes to Jack Kirby.
Yeah. So I think that this is definitely not going to be Fant-Four-Stick, or the Corman travesty. I think that it will probably be better than either of the Tim Story movies. So I'm very much looking forward to
Again,
this.
I feel like better is objective, but I hear you. Subjective, but I hear what you're saying. I do hear what you're saying.
Yeah, and I will say this, and this is my honest opinion on it. The entire future of the MCU rests on that movie.
No, jeez Louise. Don't
It
put
does.
too fine a tip on it. He's like, well, you know.
If they
To
hit
the
it out of the ballpark,
yeah,
if they hit it out of the ballpark, the MCU is back, baby. If they screw it up, the MCU is dead.
I hear you.
You know,
ABJ says, I'd love to see a Jack Kirby cameo. I would absolutely love to see one
wasn't
too.
Jack Kirby dead? I thought.
Yeah, but then you can have pictures or whatever. Stanley
Yeah.
says, didn't Beyonder wear a toga? No, sir. Beyonder wore a leather jacket, a biker's jacket. And later on, he wore this big, weird, like 90s super shoulder deal thing. It was very, you know.
I did not like the later interpretations of the Beyonder. I like the Beyonder from the original Secret Wars, where he was just a bizarre force from beyond this universe.
Agreed.
I think making him just some dude in a jacket, that was kind of lame.
Phoenix Gundam says, honestly, I'm just genuinely tired of every modern Captain America story is Cap fights corrupt government because values ain't like in the good old days. I have to agree with that on some. I do agree with that.
That is a problem because I know they have kind of implied that this is going to be Winter Soldier-esque, which means that and we've already seen based on the trailers that with Thunderbolt Ross, who is an established character, we know what he's all about.
Yeah.
And so with him as
They actually
president,
released an extended scene where he references the Sokovia Accords. He references all the stuff that what's his name did.
right? And so with the, I don't particularly like the fact that they keep making government super corrupt in these movies, but I also understand it's the easiest trope in the world because here's the problem: when you're selling to the general audience, what are people going to basically buy into, suspend their disbelief on more? A super secret organization called Hydra that's literally trying to take over the world, or a corrupt United States government.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and again, I feel like Captain America's position would always be we need to improve the United States government part ourselves as citizens and the government and help the people who are running for elected office and blah, 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 versus, oh, those evil, bad terrorist people in the Hydra group, they're trying to actually undermine and destroy us. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Victor says, but we no longer believe the government aren't corrupt. We used to be able to fool ourselves into believing honest governments were still a thing. And of course, Robert Rose in response says, Hail Hydra.
Yeah. And now, speaking of which, so as much as the MCU is the future of the MCU is absolutely going to be determined this summer by the Fantastic Four. I think that
Do you really think so?
I do, and I think that Gunn's DCU is going to be determined by Superman. And now with there have been people that have complained about the staring into the camera footage of Superman flying that they've released, and
what camera? Wait a minute. You about when he comes through the snow, whatever?
when you see him actually flying and his face is like right
so
in
here's the thing. Here's the thing.
it looks a
That
lot
scene never happens that way. Everyone keeps pausing what is supposed to be 5 total seconds of a trailer. I'm sorry, it might even be as high as 8. And the thing is, you see the same back shot we saw, then you see the front, and he's going at Mach 7. And at the end of the day, he's not supposed to be. This is my response to those people.
Yeah.
It's not. No one's supposed to be pausing that moment. It's a transitionary moment. It's fast flight. It's not supposed to. They don't hold on him in that position flying like that for like a million years. Now watch them see the movie, and there's probably going to be a whole flying sequence just like that. It might be. But for this, I'm like, my whole freaking out of people is like, are you serious? The man was literally being trussed up and made to fly really fast to emulate like high speed flying. What do you want?
Well, what I was going to say is that this is exactly like why Marvel didn't release any images of Reed stretching. Right, is because that's what people do. They try to freeze frame on whatever looks the worst and say this is an example of what this movie is going to be. And quite frankly, I'll tell you, looking at the Superman trailer
As
and
Mike
what
Case is asking us about, so let's talk about
did
that
we
for a
already
bit.
get to a consensus on the trailer? I think we both liked it. I am, I know some people are concerned because there's so many characters in it, but I have a feeling that most of them are going to be very little more than
Shut up, Stan.
cameos.
Stan, shut up. He's upset he doesn't have his arms stretched out in front of him. No, that's hilarious.
Anyway, but do you agree? Do you think most of those superhero characters are going to probably be cameos?
Yeah, I think they're germane to the story. I think we're
Right, but I mean, like very
passes them by.
brief.
Like, yeah, I don't. Nobody's getting it. This is a. He's already said this is a character piece about the character of Clark and slash Superman trying to come to terms with where his legacy lies. Where is
Right.
he coming? Is his legacy as a son of Krypton, last son of Krypton, or is he Earth's mightiest hero? Like, what is his? Is he the Man of Steel? Like, what is his legacy, so to speak, in this world, and where does he fit? I've had people who are like, does Lois know he's Superman? I think she absolutely does. I
Right.
think she knows he's Superman out the gate because
And
that's
by the
always
way,
been the weirdest contrivance ever.
here's an interesting, just think about this for a second. So the two big movies we're talking about, Fantastic Four and Superman, right?
Yeah,
Both of them involve a team that at the beginning of the movie is already an established. Like everybody knows who Superman is, everybody knows who the Fantastic Four is, right? These are
yeah,
established universes already.
right.
Um, both trailers actually show how much they're willing to embrace the cheese of their relative products. In Fantastic Four, we got Herbie the Robot and Galactus. In Superman, we got Crypto and a freaking kaiju attacking Metropolis. Right?
Okay, so ABJ asked a question. Lex seems a lot like the previous Lex, except bald. I don't know how you're making that. I don't know how
Yeah,
you're
they
making
didn't
that
really
assumption.
give enough of him to
We
really
see
make that.
nothing of him except he stands one place, he looks upset while standing in another place, and walks away upset while standing in a different place. And then the most recent stuff, he walks out with shades on and a couple of guys with guns around him. I don't know that we've seen any of his performance to make that assumption. Again, though, maybe ABJ is a lot like some of the others who've seen this, things ahead of time. Maybe you know something we don't know.
Right.
I'm down.
I just when I think that Lex, it's going to be interesting to see which version of Lex that is going to be in this movie. I don't think he doesn't remind me of Jesse Eisenberg. If anything, he kind of reminds me of the Michael Rosenbaum Lex. And by the way, there is actually a Smallville Easter egg in the trailer, and that is the fact that Lex's company is called Luthor Corp, not Lex Corp.
Which I think is the funniest thing ever, but whatever.
Well, but that is right out of Smallville. In Smallville, it was Luthor Corp, and then Lex created Lex Corp.
No, I hear you. Stanley goes, how did Cyclops become Lex Luthor?
That's a very good question.
Also, you mean Beast, but I got you, brother. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And ABJ, no, it's cool, man. We all have those psychic moments, bro. You should hear me half the time with Salty. I'm having to tell him to calm down, man. Something's gonna be better than he thinks. Okay, I was right there telling him, give Section 31 a chance, and man, was I wrong. I should have believed his prognostication abilities then.
Yeah, so it's Section 31. Oh, jeez. Why'd you have to mention that? I was having a good day.
So Phoenix Gundam says, I think Gunn just puts so many characters like quiet to quiet the question of where's everyone else while Superman's fighting a huge threat alone. Totally.
Yeah, and I think like Hawk Girl, I think like her flying in and hitting something with her mace, and then she's going to be like, "You're welcome," and then leave, and we'll never see her again. That's it. I don't think we're going to get a whole lot of these characters.
Right on. Clarence says, I'm confident Nicholas Hoult will be a fantastic, definitely Rosenbaum vibes. I could see that. Yeah, I could totally see that.
Right. And I'm hoping that he has the kryptonite ring. That will be the best.
Oh, or he has to get it back or something. Anyway, Mike K says, I wish we got something in the Superman trailer that gave us a sense of the character's vibe. I could feel that. I see what you're saying.
But we only got to keep in mind, both of these movies, we've only gotten teasers for. And hopefully the quote unquote main trailer, which will most likely drop in the next month or two,
Yeah.
then we should get an idea of what the actual story is.
Okay.
And so hope and that's where because like I don't expect the Fantastic Four movie to open up with Galactus showing up.
Why? It could totally be he'll show up with Galactus and then think, bing. But this is how we got started. Let's
Right.
back up a minute.
Right.
Oh my god, if it starts that way, I'm killing it.
They're going to do it totally like that, like it'll be a comic, a comedy type thing. Like you'll see the shadow over New York. It'll freeze frame. You'll literally hear a bell ring, and then you'll hear Reed Richards going, and you'll hear some like womp 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 music, and Reed Richards will be, man, talk about a bad day. But let me tell you how we got this.
Bro. So Victor says, I'm still dreading Otis and Miss Tessmacher. Listen, man, CW for Supergirl gave us an amazing Lois, and they had a Miss Tessmacher, and they had an Otis, and they were awesome. It was a reinvention of those characters before we ever got the Lex we got in Superman's show. But I enjoyed the heck out of them.
James Gunn, first of all, James Gunn is a good writer director.
Yes.
And so, I mean, my gosh, the Guardians of the Galaxy are an absolute treasure for Marvel.
Sure.
And so, and while I didn't like the Suicide Squad as much, I can recognize that it was definitely better written than Suicide Squad. And the what's the monster show called? The
Commandos, Creature Commandos.
Creature Commandos, while not my vibe, was also well written. And so if you have a good writer, what's the number one thing you always hear me complain about? The writing. And
Sure.
so if you have a good writer behind it, I am truly hopeful. I haven't seen Peacemaker, so
What? You haven't seen Peacemaker?
No, because I didn't like the character in Suicide Squad. So
I'm nominating this as our new Patreon watch. Like, I'll get up for this.
Well, first of all, we got to get through. We haven't even.
No. Listen, we'll come back. We'll come back to, because this is short. Literally, this is 8 episodes, bro. You want me to sit down for 3 more seasons of something, and I'm just telling, or 300 more seasons, whatever. I'm just telling you right now, man. This is good. Victor, I don't know that he's one note, bro, sir. I mean, I'm sorry, but at the same time, while there are common threads within the Suicide Squad and Guardians, I feel like he clearly does have another speed, and I'm in the mood. I'm here for it, because the one thing he's done nothing about more than is talk about when it comes to Superman, how much he wants this to be a character driven piece. It is score driven, not music driven, like drops like he's used to, needle drops like he used to. So you're not going to hear 1,000,001 of songs. I think there are some, but they're probably very like germane.
And he's also said that he understands, like, Superman is the optimistic truth, justice, and the American way character. He gets that.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And that is vitally important, is that...
Bro, Phoenix has a great question. Who would have think John Cryer would be a more threatening Lex than Kevin Spacey? Bro, really?
Yeah.
Legit. I agree. Did he
Although
write
I like Kevin
Brightburn?
Spacey's Lex. I just think that movie sucked.
Agree. So Stanley, he did not write Brightburn. His either his brother or cousin did. Another Gunn wrote it, not his brother Gunn, who we see dress up in stuff for his movies. But he produced it, and come on, it's his family. He probably also gave advice and helped him with some elements of it.
So speaking of Fantastic Four and Superman, don't we have something involving them?
Are you really trying to get? You want to get away from the questions right this second? Everyone's trying to find out stuff, but no, we can totally do it. I'm down.
Well, we need to get things to wrap. So.
Really? Why you got somewhere to be?
Yes.
Where do you have to be? He's like, my family wishes to see me. Whatever. Listen. So we're doing our first. This is a real nerd fight. We're going to pick sides and we're going to defend our side to the best of our ability. And we are talking about Brightburn was written by 2 hired guns. Good job, Giovanni. Good job, sir. Giovanni. We are going to talk about we're going to put the Fantastic Four versus Superman, and not just the trailers, but the actual characters. And we're going to talk about and get an opportunity to sort of defend our positions. And so, yeah, I'm all about.
And you guys get to decide who wins. That's to be fair.
Sure.
So I will be taking. You can bring up the screen here. I will be taking Team Fantastic Four, and
I'll be taking Team Superman. Let's go.
Now, keep in mind, what we're talking about is it's an alternate universe where the Fantastic Four and Superman both exist. They both exist pretty much as we know them. However, for whatever reason, doesn't matter, the Beyonder did something to their brains or something, to where both of them believe the other to be evil.
Yeah, exactly.
So they are both acting as heroes, but they both believe that the other side is a villain.
So now here's the other. There's a. So part of the thing is, I also understand fully Superman. Like, we know these characters would be logical and would talk to one another and whatever else, but that doesn't make for a very interesting nerd fight. So we have to sort of presume that they're going to go all in. Because here's the thing: Superman, when he holds back, is a devastating character. But then when he doesn't hold back, he's like earth shattering. And there's numerous places we can go through that. But I think what we may have some trouble with, and I'm not going to sit here and... So Batman v Superman, ? Batman v Superman is a contrivance based on an old story that has Superman and Batman both being elderly as can be, and Batman catches him on a bad day. So that's the truth about that when it comes to his big suit thing. Because at the end of the day, the moment that's more accurate from that scene is when Clark grabs him by the chest and pushes him and he goes flying in his armor. That's far more accurate to the situation. So let's go, man.
All right.
Let's do this. Let's nerd fight it, buddy.
So let me say this. I will concede a couple of points to you right off the bat that you're going to try to argue.
Okay.
I will concede that Superman is indeed stronger than the Thing.
Okay.
I will also concede that Superman, with his incredible vision abilities, can probably see Sue even when she's invisible.
Okay.
All right. However, that's not, and the thing is that we also know that the Fantastic Four have basically beaten Superman and even superior to Superman level characters many, many times.
Have they though?
But they absolutely have, and the way that they do is basically, and this is where again, when I was talking about the Fantastic Four trailer, how I'm hoping that they do this right through Mr. Fantastic's leadership and his insanely big brain. He usually is able to figure out a way to neutralize whatever it is they are fighting, and then use their various cosmic powers in order to actually neutralize said force. So now, and so if you're asking about kryptonite, I was actually thinking, okay, so yes, that would be the easy, low-hanging fruit win, where Reed could very easily replicate some kind of kryptonite ray. But against Superman, that would be deadly force, which would go against the ethos of the Fantastic Four. They are heroes. And so even though Superman is, in their mind, a very dangerous, earth-threatening level villain, remember, Reed is also the guy that saved Galactus's life, and was put on trial for it later. Which, by the way, one of my favorite issues was the trial of Reed Richards. Huh? Have you read that one?
Yeah, go on.
Okay,
it's good. It's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah. So, so all that being said, I think that here's how the fight's going to go down. Sue is and she is clearly the most powerful member of the team. Ben is basically just going to be running interference for Sue. That's his whole job, is just to keep Superman from getting to Sue immediately.
Okay.
Now, while I do concede that Superman is stronger than Ben, I do think Ben could take a punch or two from Superman. Maybe not much more than that, but he could definitely stand to him for a couple of hits. But that's all he needs, because what will happen is once they have Superman actually relatively stationary, mainly being that he's wailing on Ben, because Ben is apparently the biggest threat to Superman. So he'll be the target, the one that basically tries to get his attention by throwing things at him and that kind of thing. Well, that's what Ben does,
Sure.
And Sue could even use a force field to throw Ben at him, and so. Basically, Ben's job is to get Superman's attention and keep it for just a few seconds, which is all he needs. Once he has Superman's attention for a few seconds, Sue immediately encases Superman in a force field. Now, that's not going to hold him forever either, but it can hold him still for a little bit of time. Sue's force fields are kind of like Green Lantern's constructs. They are only limited.
They really are.
Yeah, they're only limited by the force of her will. And so, no matter how strong Superman is, her willpower can be stronger. So once she has,
Can it?
I think so. There's nothing about Superman that's Superman is not super willpower.
Well, no, but to be fair, Superman has on more than one occasion broken free of Green Lantern's force shields and broken them because.
But again, remember, we're only trying. Sue and Ben's whole job was just to slow him down.
Fair enough.
Okay, and so once Sue has him in a force field construct, that's when the actual and only attack takes place, and that attack is going to come from the Human Torch. Now. Can the Human Torch burn Superman? Absolutely not. Superman could fly into the heart of the sun and be just fine. So the Human Torch, even going supernova, is not going to be able to hurt Superman. However,
Agreed.
What the Human Torch can do, remember, Human Torch is a fire elemental. He has total control over all forms of fire. And Human Torch is going to surround said force field with red solar radiation.
Hey, Mercer.
Which will deprive Superman of his
Hold
powers.
on. He's going to do what now?
He's going to surround the force field with basically red flame to simulate him being in a red star.
And where is this magical power that he has to be able to generate heat?
Hey, you know what Human Torch did in one comic book? Human Torch froze a room solid by absorbing all the heat in the room. If it has anything to do with fire, radiation, heat, cold, Human Torch basically in one comic or another can do it. And Reed just has to basically flesh out that Human Torch needs to create a radiation of a certain frequency that would basically emulate a red sun, surrounding the force field with that red solar radiation, rendering Superman powerless, at which point they can, at their leisure, take him back to the Baxter building and put him into a red cell. Mic drop.
I don't know about mic drop, because here's the thing. Everything you said is predicated on the idea that Superman would sit there and give you guys an opportunity. So by that, I mean, you have to understand the man he's literally only come second to the Flash in terms of how fast he is.
True.
The Flash himself is the only one who could beat him, and even a couple of times, it's been implied heavily the Flash lets him win in the times that Superman has won, either he's tired, wants to do something, whatever. I don't know. Mike says he did not drop, by the way.
Sorry, Mike. I didn't.
Didn't
mean you.
The other thing is, you're right. I think we actually have some things that we can actually lean on for power scaling.
Yeah.
One is Superman has fought the Hulk in an actual canonical X-Men, or not X-Men, Marvel versus
one of those crossover comics. Yeah,
right. That they were considered to be genuine
and in fact,
for the era.
And when Hulk hit Superman, Superman actually stated that he felt he's never been hit that hard before.
The other thing to think about is that unlike the Fantastic Four, there's several eras of Superman to play with in terms of understanding who we're talking about. If we're talking about early, like original Superman with
then it's
fly,
that's Superman.
Yeah, that guy was
snap his fingers and the universe blows up.
That guy was ridiculous.
Right.
That's why they had to later on. There's post-crisis and pre-crisis. I'm kind of just going with our basic understanding of Superman today, which I would argue is probably the era just before the New 52, because after the New 52 they started really playing with some things, and I want to stick to the classic Superman we're used to. That's what
I'm not talking about depowering Superman. That's why I said
no, I got you.
He's stronger than the Thing. He's faster than the Human Torch. He can see invisible things. But, is he a literal god? No, he is, Kryptonians, while extraordinarily powerful, they're kind of like, what are they called? Viltrumites from
Sure.
Sure. from the Invincible universe.
Even though Viltrumites are more like Saiyans this point, because the way they fight and get stronger from
Right, but
animated
the
thing,
Kryptonians, when exposed to yellow solar radiation, become ridiculously powerful.
Sure.
And so Reed being and that's their
So
ace in the hole.
I want to
Reed's
understand this right. I want to, 100%. That's true. So I want to understand this right. We're okay by saying there's no Reed couldn't necessarily know he didn't synthesize kryptonite, not at all. No, that would be nigh on cheating. However,
I said that's the low hanging fruit. That would be an automatic win for
Johnny doing his own like experimentation with the radiation he puts off is completely, that's within the realm of believability. I want to make sure I understood that.
There have been times that Reed would give Johnny and others
very special instructions. I understand,
yes.
and that's one of the reasons why
I'm trying to create a Fantastic Four-esque solution to this fight. That's how they would. That's how they would approach it.
I got you, and I do get that. Okay, then, and my feeling is I feel like, so when Superman fought there was a team of anti-heroes, and it was actually in the comics, and later on they did an animated movie.
Let me answer this real quick, Stan. Sure. Could Superman use his cold breath and extinguish the Human Torch? Absolutely, except that he is contained in a force field.
That's assuming. Hold on, there are a lot of assumptions happening here. So the first thing, I think you're right. I think you would be
according to my strategy, that's what would
I feel like the Thing would haul off and give it everything he's got, and the Thing would either hurt himself, but he would not hurt much Superman.
Right. He might knock Superman back a couple of feet, but he's not going to do any real damage.
And that's more a function of Superman's being used to rolling with the punches so people don't shatter themselves against him. I feel like when Sue goes to do any kind of force field, if she's able to catch him, first off, I feel like he would be, because you're right, I think he would be able to try to either see her using cold, freeze her out quickly, to stop it. I don't know that he's using lethal force either, like a heat vision or anything like that, to try to take somebody out. I think
but he wouldn't be able to blow through the force field. That's the problem with the cold.
Sure, you're right. The other thing is that red. There's a moment when Red Sun begins to work, and it's not as if it it doesn't just automatically turn off everything, because Superman's like a battery. He absorbs.
Right. So they have to contain him for at least
however long as he's getting exponentially weaker. I see where you're going with that. Mm-hmm. And then trying to get him wherever you're going to get him. You might be able to do an initial containment. I think he would very quickly figure out, because the thing is, I don't know that Johnny's, because all Johnny's got to do is rest for a minute, and he'd have to go for and I don't know what Johnny's longevity's like. That's my thing. Is I don't know what his. I feel like there's two scenarios here. One, with prep time, the Fantastic Four could pull out a victory. I think in most other scenarios, I feel like Superman is either taking them out relatively quickly, because he, for instance, if Reed starts stretching, he could definitely he could freeze Reed and make him breakable, and which he would not use to break him, but he would also be like, don't try too hard or you're going to hurt yourself. And if you're actually,
by the way, just looking at a few things, I just want to clarify one thing. As far as the time, it depends on which version of Superman, which unfortunately that's the wild card. In some circumstances, it takes him about 24 hours to drain. In others, it's actually the radiation from the red sun that depowers him, so it's instant. So it depends on which
you're playing.
We're playing with.
Okay, that's fair. So yeah, I feel like there's a world in which you can do some stuff, but again, Johnny'd have to maintain the red stuff for a long time. So it depends on his longevity. I don't know how long he is.
Well, he's not going supernova, so that he could maintain his flame.
Well, here's the thing though. But if he goes, the thing is, Johnny creates. He basically is a mini version of a sun. Mm-hmm. So I feel like past the heat-based part of his powers, he would actually be charging Superman up if he was
using yellow. That's why I said when it comes to Reed, and this is why I said Reed's their ace in the hole. Reed would know based on studying Superman's cells and all that.
Sure,
And how,
physiology. I
right.
gotcha.
That exactly what band of radiation Johnny would need to emanate in order to depower him. And so if and Johnny does have minute control over his flames, so picking out a specific radioactive radiation frequency is not difficult for him. And so it's now granted, yes, if you're doing an all-powerful version of Superman, it doesn't work anyway. Nothing will.
No, because at the end of the day, I think in a real version of this, if Superman wasn't the moral, because I always butt heads with these things. That's one of the reasons why I hate sometimes doing them this.
Well, that's the other reason, by the way, I wouldn't use kryptonite, because that would be deadly to him.
Right, and I just feel like there's a world in which, like, if you have to almost look at like evil Superman, like what would an evil Superman do? Because I feel like an evil Superman would just, the Thing gets bodied in a moment very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Now, not the Ultimate. I don't know if the Ultimate Four would be that much different either. I feel like Johnny gets speed blitzed. Sue's shield eventually will wear out, or he will break it. Because if nothing else, he can still change the temperature of the room if he has to by blowing in it regardless.
Right. But you're assuming that he knows Johnny is the primary attack. Like if he goes for, like, if you think about power level on the Fantastic.
Well, hold on, time out. You have me presuming that they know everything about him. I likewise should get that same.
No, I'm not saying he doesn't know who they are or anything like that. He doesn't know what their powers are. I'm not saying he's completely ignorant. But keep in mind, he is not the most brilliant scientific mind on the planet.
No, but he is faced down one of his world's preeminent geniuses more than once.
Sure. But I'm saying
mainly because smart people always think of things that have to do with smart people.
But most people, they think of the Human Torch. They think he's Fire Guy, right?
He is Fire Guy.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying. But they think that's it. That's it. He's just the Fire Guy. Reed is just the stretchy guy. They don't realize that Reed's real power is his brain, not his stretching.
I love Stanley. He's like, well, Superman's not as bright compared to Reed.
And that's kind of my point there, is that he would know who they were, but he wouldn't know all the details, like exactly what their everything about exactly what they can do. But Reed would know that about Superman. And so in this, that's why I say Reed has an upper hand as far as intellect, I think, for sure. Now, if Superman does go for Johnny first, or even immediately after the Thing, before Sue can get the force field up, then plan's over.
Hey Stanley, to answer your question, yes, he attended Metropolis University and studied journalism. This was established in Man of Steel, 1986. John Byrne.
Yeah, which is also why he's not so bright.
Nice.
He did take journalism after.
And you're right. By the way, Aravic, that's what he has Batman for. He has Batman to go.
Now, you see, if we were talking about Batman versus Mr. Fantastic just on intellect, that is an interesting matchup, because
I feel like Batman's got just the right thing to handle each one, just long enough to be like, what are we doing? He'd have things stuck up. See, that's a very different argument. I know exactly what Batman would do in this scenario. My problem is Superman's holding back always. It's like when you find out that Spider-Man essentially always has to pull his punches, or he would take people. He would break people in half.
Right. Which, by the way, if you've never read Spider-Man and Wolverine, holy crap! There's
good stuff.
Spider-Man gets some PTSD from that fight. He actually, like, it's described. Fortunately, because they couldn't possibly show it on a panel. This was before modern gritty, dirty comics, but they basically show
dirty comics.
Yeah, they show what you see is Spider-Man's back, right? Wolverine is on the ground, head against a tombstone, and Spider-Man is just wailing into his face so hard that it shatters the tombstone. And Spider-Man his thoughts are kind of describing the fight as we're seeing it, and he's saying, "I cannot believe it. I've ripped the flesh from his face, and yet he's still smiling at me."
That's awesome.
And
Maybe
so
it is awesome. Go ahead.
right. So then after the fight is over, Spider-Man's just like, I'm done, right? And so he turns his back on Wolverine and starts to walk away. Then the spider sense goes off. So he turns around and throws a punch at him with everything he has, because he doesn't have to hold back against Wolverine,
That's
right?
right.
Except it wasn't Wolverine.
Oh no.
It was another character from the story, a woman who literally was committing suicide by Spider-Man because she knew she felt guilty over all this bad stuff she had done, and she knew she would set off his spider sense, and in his agitated state, he would haul into her, and he literally just killed her in one punch.
Creep says, "I'm home, and you're still on."
Yes.
He's doing? Creep is doing the Ferris Bueller. You're still here. What do you do? It's over.
So Superman, okay,
Superman would destroy them. Creep. You're 100% correct.
You're 100% wrong because like I said, Mr. Fantastic has the blue.
Oh, in this universe, Krypton was destroyed by Galactus.
That's good. That's why there's no kryptonite.
Dang. Oh my god, that's awesome. Oh, it's the best.
And so, but no, in all honesty, I think that if you look at reasonably, if you know their powers at least on a superficial level, and the Thing is coming at you, you're going to dispatch the Thing first, right? Because he is by far the strongest. He's the one that's most likely to be able to.
Can I tell you why you don't? No, can I tell you why you don't?
Right.
Is because if there's one thing Superman knows, no matter how hard this guy hits me, I know I can take at least one or two of those. I have to figure out what's going on with everybody else first. I feel like he would assume Thing is not the great, just because he runs at you. Superman faces guys like that all the time. He doesn't face beautiful women who look like they're waving their hands or whatever at you, or stretchy guys, so unless you're talking about elongated man and or plastic man. Yeah. If anything, he would probably assume, he might incorrectly assume that Mr. Fantastic can actually take more than he can really take, because he's used to fighting someone like Plastic Man, who actually can take everything that Superman can dish out.
Actually, I would say I don't think that Superman could punch out Mr. Fantastic. I think if Superman punches Mr. Fantastic, and I don't know if you've ever seen, but whenever a very strong character punches Mr. Fantastic, you just see an indentation of their fist out of their back because he just stretches around it.
Sure.
And so I don't think that Superman would have to use his cold or his heat vision on Mr. Fantastic.
And I think the moment he saw him stretching around, he would know that. He would immediately go for that.
Right.
He would immediately go for the cold
freeze. If he goes for Mr. Fantastic first, the plan still works, even though it would be Mr. Fantastic might be the sacrificial lamb. But as far as the Invisible Woman / Human Torch attack plan, that would still work. As long as he doesn't go for Sue or Johnny first, then I think the Fantastic Four win.
Something like 60 years of comics has showed us that they don't have good names for stretchy people. True story.
Now,
true story, my friend.
And honestly, so I think there should be 3 choices here for people. Choice number 1, Superman wins. Choice number 2,
which feels like the most obvious choice.
Choice number 2, the far superior Fantastic Four win.
I think that is hopeful, and I do believe there is a universe in which that can happen. I just think it is the less likely of the alternatives and options.
Well, choice number 3, and you may be willing to compromise with me.
Okay.
Whichever side genuinely has the moral high ground wins.
Well, that's just comics.
Yeah.
I feel like that's exactly the thing. I think that's exactly the scenario. Here's the thing. I feel like Superman would allow everything you described to happen if he had because he would need more information. Because here's the thing. They don't look like villains. They wouldn't be talking like villains.
Right.
He still has to figure out what's going on because he still needs his end, whatever that end is. And so he's like, okay, I think he would allow himself to be taken exactly the way. And he would wait until the moment Johnny got bored, Johnny fell asleep, Johnny was something. He would wait for the moment because Johnny can't shut his mouth. Johnny would give himself in, and he would give himself away as being petulant, as being childish, as being. And Superman's dealt with more than one character like that, i.e., Guy Gardner, if nothing else. And he would know, okay, I'm gonna wait this thing out.
Right.
He would figure out what's going on with everybody else, and he would probably reason. He would he would when he was talking to Sue, he would tell her about Lois. When he was talking to the Thing, he would tell her
Why
about
did you say that name?
real. He would talk to Thing about his friend Bibbo and of the other people who he had to deal with who are similar, people who have issues. And then I think eventually when he talked to Reed, he would talk to him about his friend Bruce and how he also knows somebody who thinks he can think his way out of any problem. Like there would be a moment where he would connect with them and then eventually figure out what's going on.
So first of all, let me say, I got a donation from Mercer again. It says,
Go for it.
I heard that Spider-Man once accidentally punched Sue. He didn't use all his strength and still hurt her, even though she had her defense force field up. Now, I would say and this is the interesting thing about the Fantastic Four, kind of like Superman, is that while until later Marvel, when things just got wacky with incursions and all that crap, they went from the 1960s through like the 1990s or even early aughts before rebooting them.
And you're talking about remember the 90s when she had the like outfit where they were like, how much little clothes can we?
No, that actually came around in the 80s. That was Malice.
Are you serious? I thought that was
that was during the John Byrne run.
No way.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Malice showed up and easily defeated the Human Torch, the Thing, and Mr. Fantastic. And they were like, who is this insanely powerful Malice? And it turned out to be Sue, mind controlled, basically. And so, because what happened was during the John Byrne run, she basically developed her powers because John Byrne was like, wait a minute, she can basically do anything with these force fields. And so he basically stepped it up and said, okay, we're going to show what Sue is really capable of. So Sue is ridiculously powerful when you start to think about what those force fields are capable of. Like one thing.
Sorry, Victor asked, which universe's boob window is more deadly?
You know, it's funny because Sue has actually won several awards for having the best boobs in comics.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I would have thought Power Girl easily.
No, Sue has, and Storm has won a couple of times too.
No, totally. Google 90 Sue Storm. I know, that's exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah. But I do think that okay, so but what I'm saying is, like, if Spider-Man punches Sue, gets through her force field, keep in mind that we also have now one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel universe, and I'm sure you know who this guy is, Gladiator.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. There was an issue of Fantastic Four, and it was great because it was called Man and Superman.
Oh, nice.
With a space in between Super and Man.
Of course.
And the Superman of the story was Gladiator. Gladiator showed up and was pissed, right? And so at one point, Reed went down to confront Gladiator, just Reed, and Gladiator was like, I've had enough of you guys, because he was convinced. I think he was
I've had enough of you guys.
He was mind controlled into thinking they were Skrulls, I believe. And so he punched Reed not once, dozens of times with everything he had. And Reed just stood there and literally laughed at him. And then, as it turned out, it's because Sue had a force field around him.
You bums.
So
that is terrible.
So and this is not some, this is actually during the John Byrne run. And the thing is so he, Sue's force fields are redonkulous.
By the way, this is the 90s costume I'm referring to.
Oh my gosh. That is, yeah.
It literally had the number 4 in the as the window. Yeah, it was unbelievable. Again, thank you, Mike Case, for reminding me that's what we were talking about.
You
But,
know, and the funny thing is that John Byrne, he changed her from the Invisible Girl to the Invisible Woman, gave her a less 60s girly girl hairstyle, basically tried to update her into being a modern, strong female character. And then they do that to her. I mean, that's just.
yeah, man, well, that was the comics. What are you talking about? That was the era. The coloring wasn't always great.
Yeah. So one, Superman wins. Two, Fantastic Four wins, and three, whoever has the high ground, basically the moral high ground wins because comics.
Yeah, I agree.
Because honestly, the three basically means it just depends on who's writing it.
Agreed.
You know that there's no objective solution to this. So I'm going to ask.
There's no subjective objective solution.
Well, there would be a subjective objective solution.
What did I just do? I'm so silly.
You changed the screen to this for some reason.
Yeah, which is weird. My bad.
So Stan Lee is a traitor.
Oh, we knew that.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Robert, also a traitor. Wow. That's just messed up, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I mean, granted, you know, when people voting for brawn over brain, I get it.
Yeah, man. Herman Schmeckenbeck wins.
Schmeckelbeck, yes. Herman Schmeckelbeck is the one person who I've said it's okay to hate.
Aravic says it was 3.
Yeah, as did Mike Case. So we have a
not
tie.
Not a traitor. I'm a pragmatist. That's awesome.
I don't think it's pragmatism to assume Superman is. I don't.
Book 1, Superman is captured. Book 2, he escapes. Book 3, he captures them back. Book 4, they cooperate.
That would absolutely be the way they would write it.
That's 100%. That's how they did. So that's how they did most of those DC Marvel team ups when they crossed over. It was always like this episode, this person wins, and the next one, this other person. It was very back and forth.
And a lot of them, unfortunately, the winner of the various fights was just based on fan votes.
But you know who really won? The fans. We all won.
But you know the problem.
Deadly. My heart says FF, but reason says soups.
Go with your heart, Stan. Follow your heart. It's not too late to change your vote.
It's not too late to change your vote. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate every one of you.
But
Superman wins unless the 4 gets an OP upgrade like Wonder Woman did.
I think you guys are underestimating their actual power levels.
I mean,
and I am considering it realistically, Stan. At least I think so. At least my solution was based on how the Fantastic Four behave in the comics. That is a strategy that I could absolutely see them doing. ABJ votes Fantastic Four. All right, cool. We just need one more Fantastic Four vote to tie.
So you remember that time that Superman became a herald of Galactus?
No.
So apparently, yeah, there was. I was looking through some old comic stuff, and I put Fantastic Four and Superman, and apparently they do encounter him as after he gets named the Herald of Galactus. Reed needs to call Bruce for advice. Yeah, creep. That's so the truth, brother. That's awesome. Oh man, guys, I hope you are enjoying all of this. By the way.
How do you say that? Sentai?
Sentai.
Sentai Ranger Donnie. I understand being hesitant about the Fantastic Four movie based on recent Marvel stuff, but I would say this. Reconsider if the word on that movie is really good, because based on just the fact that Galactus is in it, this would be the kind of thing you want to see on a big screen.
Look, this is Victor. He's one of my guys, and he's betraying me. I have to go with the Fantastic Four winning humanely. Victor, that's it. No more pinning your comments. I'm done.
You're the man, Victor.
He's like, you're always welcome here in the salty in the salt mines. Or that's the name of your community, the salt mines.
The salt mines. So it is now tied up. It's a 3-way tie, actually.
Keep commenting. We'll talk more about it.
But yeah, I think that Superman, as far as the movies are concerned, I'm going to see them both. and because
for sure, for sure.
we're going to be reviewing them probably on the, if not the day they come out, like at least the Saturday after.
Yeah.
And
I'm trying to get to it. So we have tickets. We have tickets for Valentine's Day matinee at 2 because we actually have Valentine's Valentine's
that's
plans
Captain
tonight.
America you're talking about.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Fantastic Four. The tickets are definitely not for sale yet.
No. I'm definitely gonna see that though. So
Yeah, I have 2:00 tickets for Captain America as well. But of course, you won't do a live stream on Thursday because you'll say, "Oh no, I got to make a video about it."
God forbid the people who come to my channel for content need to actually get it. I just remember, Victor. I just remember how much whining there was when Spider-Man was announced for Civil War. We were collectively exhausted from all the lame Spider films, but then that first shot of Tom Holland.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like
oh my God! Hold on, Mercer Create real fast. This just dropped. He's right. The Jurassic Park trailer. It's the most. I fell asleep twice because I kept asking myself, "Isn't this the same beats we've literally seen 6 times already?"
I'll be honest with you. I haven't seen the last one.
Yeah, you missed nothing.
That franchise has completely lost me because when I saw the first one, the first one of the resurgence, I guess you would call it, right? Was it Jurassic World or whatever?
Yeah.
I was like, so wait a minute. So you're telling me the plot of this movie is they just made another park?
Oh, no, but not even that. See, you're looking at it from the wrong side. The first sequel of it was we had the original site and then we had site B.
Right, but then
it became. Then there was the place on that where they got where all the experimentation was done,
and
now then it became. But there was a whole nother lab on land that was a different thing, and now but there was the place you did. It was the before place that you never. Right. And I'm like, guys,
but with Jurassic World, it's like
what are we doing?
I understand. Yeah, I do get that sometimes corrupt businesses will do stupid things in order to try to make money. But I cannot buy even the most evil of like Disney. I can't even see Disney doing this. That's a joke because everybody thinks Disney is the worst company ever. But I couldn't even see. I don't care what company or whatever the worst company in the world is to you. I couldn't see them genetically engineering the perfect killer dinosaur and then having the public come look at it.
That's awesome. It makes the real question here, David, the dead man asks is, who wins at the box office? My friend, we all do. All of us.
Well, not necessarily. It depends. They could both be flops.
No, they're going to be amazing.
You know what? I honestly hope that it's a tough one. It really is a tough one.
Look, so these movies are going to be huge. They're going to be so good.
Yeah, they're going to be the 2 largest movies of all time.
Largest superhero movies of all time. I myself, having been in a superhero movie, you may have seen it, Home Alone. The best superhero movie of all time.
Yeah, so I would say that Superman has the advantage because he's more iconic.